All right. This is pretty exciting, pretty cool. This is my first time using a brand new piece of software, using a Restream, and actually going live on 5 different platforms right now. So it's supposed to be able to take, like, if you type something in the chat, it should show up in the chat for me. Obviously, I don't have all 5 different streams showing up here, so, if you see me, chat, say hi. Love to see it. So anyway, so this is fun. This is, 2 different things in one. One is it's kind of a celebration of my 50th episode of Third Power Life podcast, that I'll be recording actually on this stream, and, so it's kind of a celebration of 50 episodes in season 2 of Third Power Life. Um, it's also me testing out this new technology, and I've got like different video things and other stuff that I'll be throwing in here. So basically, this is me playing, having fun, and getting to share it with the interwebs. Um, so what really would like to kind of start out with is kind of a recap of basically my past week's podcasts, to talk a little bit about them. Now, the interesting thing about the way that I do my podcasts is that I generally will start with an idea. I do my morning routine and I'm looking for some inspiration, right? And sometimes it's something I see on social media. Sometimes it's, I do my daily reading. I do a daily stoic. I do meditation. I do, all of that. And then I've got like a morning study program. Right now, I'm studying Our Iceberg is Melting. Thank you, Andrew, for that one. Kind of a book about change management, sort of like Who Moved Our Cheese. If you've ever read it, it's kind of a fable style. Pretty neat, actually. About halfway through. About halfway through. So anyway, so I look for those inspirations and then I record. And so I usually have an idea of here's what I'm starting with, but there are times where, okay, here's what the title's going to be, and here's this, and then I start talking, and it's like inspiration hits and it goes a completely different direction. Sort of like the one I did today, or yesterday's that was released today about how to make work not suck. So anyway, so I do want to do a quick recap. So let's see how this works. All right. So I don't know if that's working. Am I supposed to see something different, or is it just for you? It's probably just for you. I gotta love it's the fun of new technology is figuring out what do I see versus what do you see. So, one moment, please. And so if you're seeing the Third Power Life podcast weekly recap, if you could mention it in the comments, that would be super cool. As I'm trying to figure out if it's working. All right. There we go. Yep. So you got to learn how, you've got something that's maximized, and okay, well, it really is maximized. And all right, so I got and if I click show, it says, hey, Dan Gentry said this was cool. I sure did, didn't I? Okay, so weekly recap. Let's get into it. So last week, or yeah, beginning of the week, I talked about how workouts can be fun, and this was a neat one. Because I've talked about how every day I work out, right, and I've started using, my kids have a Oculus headset, a VR headset. So I've actually been doing my workouts on that. It's pretty neat. And then I also, my son's joined the swim team. So you kind of see it in the background of behind the words here. He wanted me to go in the high dive. So, so if you check out episode 41 and wait till the very end, there's a bonus scene of me actually jumping off of a high dive. I will warn those faint at heart. I am shirtless, so watch at your own risk. Um, but the whole idea, working out doesn't have to be terrible and horrible. You can actually have a lot of fun with it. So, um, then next up, 42 was my business why. I had just finished up the book Start with Why by Simon Sinek, and really went into, why do I do what I do, and what's my business all about. And it really kind of came down to the fact of I really want to help, especially parents, but those that basically people, to stay grounded and balanced while absolutely striving after success. That's kind of the point behind it. So that was a fun one. I really enjoyed that episode. And then there was the get to do versus have to do, right? And just talking about the thing, the change of mindset between I have to go to work, I have to do this report, I have to do this, versus I get to do it. That simple change of direction can have a huge impact on the stress levels that you feel and on your performance. Then there was achievement versus success. Most of the time we kind of confuse those two things. We think achievement equals success, and that is not the case, right? You need achievement to have success, but success is a whole different creature. It's how do you feel about the achievements that you've had. Achievements are temporary. The happiness that comes with achievements is temporary, no matter the achievement. You know, if it's like something major, it might last for, a month, but it's going to go away. Success is permanent. All right. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. One of my favorite quotes by Jim Rohn. And talking about how you're responsible for your life. And it's, don't wish things were easier, because nothing good is ever easy. Wish you were better. Work on yourself, constantly be striving for more. Then I don't have time. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've uttered that, and just it's just not true. You know, there you figure, where if we work 50 hours a week, and we work out, let's say 5 hours a week, and we sleep 8 hours a night, right? That still leaves us almost 60 hours to improve ourselves, to improve our life. So don't have time. That's an excuse. Also, with that, there's a free tool. It's on my website, thirdpowerlife.com/tools. And let's see if I can type that in here. All right. And so, yep. Oh, that's cool. It shows me, okay, it's on YouTube now, and now it's on Facebook. This software is pretty darn cool. If you haven't used the Restream, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. All right. Anyway, so if you go to thirdpowerlife.com/tools, there is the daily time tracking little worksheet that I have. It's really a straightforward thing. Just write down for a couple of days. Where's your time going? And log it. on this worksheet, and you'll be surprised by some of the insights it'll give you. All right, and then there was 47 is leaders share their vision. This is one where, thanks to Sandy Giroux, gave me these mem cards back. I was at a National Speakers Association meeting. Good Lord, probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. Because I was struggling for a topic. Sandy came through for me. I appreciate that. And yeah, and it was talking about how, her whole thing is creating better workplaces, which is kind of ties in with what I love to talk about. And it was talking about leaders share their vision, that card. Nobody wants to follow a leader if they don't know where they're going. So that was a fun one. And then last one from yesterday is, how do you gain self-respect? And there was a quote that just absolutely killed me when I was reading it. Trying to see if I can't find it here, but it was Joan Didion, and it was to live without self-respect is to lie awake, um, counting sins of commission and omission, the trust betrayed, the promises subtly broken, and the gifts wasted through sloth, cowardice, or carelessness. And that just spoke to me so hard. I had to do this whole episode on it, and just don't waste your gifts, right? Through sloth, cowardice, or carelessness. So, be diligent, be brave, and be careful. That's what that whole thing was about. So it was a lot of fun. A good, there are times when you do podcast episodes and they're like, yeah, that was okay, that was good. And then there are times when it's just like, yeah, that was a good one, right? That was one of those for me. You can think what you want, but for me, it was pretty darn cool. Um, so yeah, so that was the weekly, kind of the recap of all of the different things that had going on, and it was fun. So I'm going to do a test now of inserting a pre-recorded video. Basically, this is going to be and now a word from our sponsor. I'll give you a hint. Today's sponsor is me, because it's yeah, there you go. But so let's listen in to see and hear about this really interesting Third Power Performance that's our sponsor today. Today's live stream is brought to you by Third Power Performance, the publisher of the Third Power Live podcast. I'm Dan Gentry, and I want to welcome you here today to talk about being all that you can be, from being able to have the financial and material success while still having the full, balanced, and vibrant life that we absolutely love, right? I want you to be there for your children, to be able to spend time with them, and also have the good broadcast. Okay, so seems like the sound didn't come through on the video. Trying to watch the live stream on my phone, on at least on Facebook. So if you didn't hear any sound, let me know. If you did hear sound, let me know. Either way, just type it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and turn that off. Okay, so up next is actually I want to do this week's podcast. And this is one that I've actually been looking forward to for a little while. Um, in the team that I have, it's called basically the rules of the team or Dan's manager manifesto. And it's something that I do with everybody who joins my team. I want to make sure that they know kind of what I expect and what I'm looking for, um, and not necessarily the way that most people think. So I did want to go through and do this, my manager manifesto, and this will be my podcast for tomorrow. You get to see it, the 50th one. All right. So, the rules of the team or Dan's manager manifesto. And, as you know, life balance is huge for me. So, what is the number one rule of the team? The number one rule of the team is balance. I expect a lot out of people. I demand excellence and diligence, but no work, no job, nothing that involves a company is worth your well-being. It's just not. We work to live, not live to work, right? And this is one of those ones that I've made that mistake in my own life, right? And want people to understand that, yeah, yes, work is important. Yes, getting everything done is important. The the number of thing items on our to-do list is always going to be there, right? But yeah, I always talk about how in the priorities of life, I don't know what your, religious view or any of that is, right? Doesn't matter. But there's a priority of things in life, right? For many people, it's a higher power, and then it's their spouse and their children, and then it's their family, then their friends, and then maybe somewhere down in their work. Right? So, yes, work is important. And, I expect you to do your job well, but I also understand that family comes first. Your well being comes first. Life balance is critical. And you can even see in there that in a way it's selfish because you're going to perform better if your life is in balance and you're grounded and balanced, right? That's the way to success, is having that. So that's my number one rule, is balance. It's what I want. So the number two is the importance, not urgency, right? There are always urgent demands on our time and our attention. And not everything that's urgent is important. Now, especially in the corporate world, you get somebody that's got really cool letters after their name that tends to, oh my God, this VP or this whatever said that they needed this. Okay. Is it really important or is it just urgent? And so this is the thing that I tell everybody on my team is, just because it's urgent doesn't mean it's important. And I take that from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen Covey has this quadrant. You've got important and urgent. Those are fires. Those are things that you've got to deal with. Those are crises, right? And then you've got where most people spend their time are things that are urgent but not important, right? And where we need to be spending time is things that are important but not urgent, right? And so I just, when in doubt, I always tell people, reach out to me, reach out to their own manager, but understand that just because it's urgent doesn't mean it's important. Number three is the one thing. The great book, I love that there's a book called The One Thing. I can't remember the author right off the top of my head. Um, but it really boils down to this question that we need to be asking ourselves every day. What's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? You know, we all have to-do lists. I mean, my to-do list is a million miles long sometimes. Um, but we can't do more than one thing at a time. We just can't. One at a time, right? And so we need to focus and take the time. It's why my morning routine is so important for me. What's the one thing that I can do that's the most important, the big domino? What's the thing that's going to have the most impact that makes everything else I have to do either easier or I don't have to do it, right? So be constantly asking ourselves that question. Number 4 is be willing to make mistakes. And this was so this one's really important in a lot of ways. I've seen so many projects that stall and don't go forward because people aren't willing to make a decision because they don't want to make a mistake. And so it's like, well, I'll go back to the business or I'll ask my boss or I need to wait for such and such. I tell people on my team, be willing to make the call, right? Make a decision, and as long as you can kind of explain the logic that you had, you're not just like, flipping a coin, go, do it. I want you to feel empowered to make a decision and to make a mistake, and it's okay. I still remember there was a story about this this guy, I don't remember what kind of company it was, but this kind of mid-level manager made a mistake and it ended up costing the company like $1 million. It was a big deal, right? And so he got called into his boss's office. The boss kind of yelled at him for a little bit, how could this happen? Blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the meeting, the guy's like, all right, well, I'll go clean out my desk now. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, I just cost the company $1 million. I must be fired. And he's like, I just spent $1 million on your education. Are you ever going to let something like that happen again? I was like, no, I don't want to have to pay another million for somebody else to learn that. Right. So it's that difference of mindset. And, so I want you to be able to have that same opportunity. No, I don't want you making, silly things. Don't make the same mistake over and over again. Right. But be willing to take the chance and to make the decision. Okay. All right. Number 5 is be creative. This one always kind of throws people a little bit. Um, we all have our own style of creativity, right? And it's important for you to express who you really are at work. I remember listening to an audio program by David White. He's a British poet. It was on cassette tapes. That tells you how long ago this was. But he was talking about soul in the workplace. And he did it using the poem of Beowulf as like an allegory to kind of guide the conversation. And there was this one part that I remember out of the program that just really, really spoke to me. And it was along the lines that the corporate world, as human beings, we want this broad experience in life. We want to experience colors and textures and life and all different, variety of things, right? That's what our soul wants. It wants that an interesting life. The corporate world asks a very narrow piece of who we are as people, right? And yet, through that narrow straw, will suck our entire life away, right? It's like all of our energy out. And I remember I was like, I feel that like painfully, right? And I was like, yeah. And so for me, I want, your experience in this department, in my on my team, to be to give a little bit more of the human experience. I want there to be some creativity. Now it can be outside of work too, be creative there too, but in your work, find ways to be creative. I still remember doing a presentation for my boss at the time. He was going to present to a big leader meeting. And so I did, took screenshots and did the information that he needed for the PowerPoint presentation. And I'm like, when I got done, I'm like, you know what? I want to make this just a little bit better. So I took some extra time. It took about probably half an hour, 45 minutes, and just I made it cool. I made all the text line up right and all the pictures the same size with a little bit of drop shadow. And, you know, there were some things where it got real into the detailed, like, those, if you've ever seen the eye chart presentations, right? Where it's like, I can't read all of those details. So that I made little links in the PowerPoint so you could like skip that whole section if they didn't need to go into it. Basically, I was playing with PowerPoint, right? And let's be honest. Um, but it was fun. It was something creative. It was something a little bit different that made the work stand out, and it made my day. It made that day a little better, right? So take that time, be creative in your work. All right. Number 6 is stand up for yourself. Um, we are always respectful, courteous. I expect that of my team, and I also expect you to receive it as well, to receive courtesy and respect. And in business, there are a lot of very strong personalities, and sometimes people don't realize that they're overstepping bounds, or well, let's be honest, sometimes they do, and doesn't matter. But so I want you to make sure that you are courageous to defend yourself, and if you feel like you're not being treated fairly or with respect or what have you, you come to your manager, you come to me because I want to know about it, and I will rectify the situation. So always know that I got your back. And the last rule, number 7, is to grow. Learn, become better, and not just at work. Yes, I want you to grow your career. I want you to move up in the company. I want to help you progress professionally, but I also want you to be a better human being. I tell people, all the time that my job ultimately is to make you a better person for having been part of my team. And, yes, I want you to have more skills. Yes, I want you to be better at your job, but I also want you to be a better spouse. I want you to be a better parent. I want you to be a better sibling. I want you to be a better member of the human race for having been here. So, whatever I can do to help you grow, to learn, to become more, I want to do that. That's why I'm here. I make the joke, and you'll hear me joke about it. I'm here to make work not suck, right? That's kind of the funny way of talking about it. But the reality of it is I'm here for you to grow, to be a better person. That's what I want. And that's what I hope you find here. So those are the rules of the team. I appreciate you listening. This is my manager manifesto, right? It's what I want for people that are working with me to know. Here's what I expect, and here's where I'm coming from. And it's not just, what are the standard operating procedures? It's who do I want you to be? Because we are not human doings, we are human beings. And, part of being in my organization is I want you to be. I want you to be better. All right. All right. So that's the podcast that will be going out for tomorrow. Um, any if anybody can see, chat, what have you, love to see it. Um, Definitely want to, help any if you've got ideas of things that you're going through that you would like to see a podcast done on, let me know. Put it in the chat here on any of my podcasts. You can email me info at thirdpowerperformance.com. But yeah, this has been fun. I do have to figure out how to get the video to play the audio through, through the stream, because that just didn't seem to work right. But this has been a fun playing with a new toy. I always love playing with a new toy. So, um, all right. Well, for my friends, I appreciate you listening in, and we will. I'll do this again next week. Do a recap, have a new tool that you can get, and have fun with it. So, until next time, my friends, keep living your life to the third power. Talk to you soon.